In 1974, Harold Stevens, an American author known for his explorations of World War II and other world travels and adventures, discovered large footprints along the sandy river bank of Sungai Kinchin in Johor, Malaysia. The natives who were part of the expedition confirmed that the prints were that of the Orang Dalam, or what is commonly known as Bigfoot. This became a landmark case internationally for many Bigfoot researchers that sparked the possibility for this mysterious creature to exist in the rainforest of Malaysia. But is Bigfoot real?
Tonight's Sewang is partly that we've asked for him to bring Endau into our midst. His uncle has arrived.
In fact, he knows that we are talking about him now. Many of us have seen his footprints everywhere.
Paksate hesitated. He said that it is not easy to meet the orang tua Jarang Gigi, and it is not up to us to demand when we want to see him. In my investigations thus far, the local Bigfoot is spoken of as a mythical spirit being of the natives, rather than a primate. I am at the Department of Zoology of a Malaysian university to speak to a paleontologist, Mr. Lim Shen, on his understanding of the Bigfoot phenomenon. There has been much news about sightings of Bigfoot in terms of footprints inside the deep forest. The way branches are broken seems to show a presence of Bigfoot.
The evidence that you mentioned, like footprints, branches that have been broken, these could equally be explained by some other large animals like elephants, which are quite common in some of the forested areas in Peninsular Malaysia.
But the elephant footprint is kind of roundish, right? But
Yes.
the footprints that have been found or put on newspaper seems to be that of kind of an extended human-like footprint.
Yes, it may be true, and it may be a sub-triangular shaped, oblong shaped, but there is another kind of animals which can produce such a footprints like the Malayan sun bear, or it could be two oval-shaped footprints of elephants overlapped with one another, creating double oval shapes, which might appear like a big human footprint.
Do you see a reconciliation of this scientific information and sightings by Orang Asli?
It could be happened in the future, but it has been years that we want to look for proof, hard evidence in the forest about the existence of Bigfoot.
What people have sighted a tall creature between 7 to 10 feet tall, hairy, without a tail. It is a consistent description of the Bigfoot. What's your opinion on that?
As a paleontologist, I look at the fossils, and we have found lots of fossils of some very rare animals. And if you say the Bigfoot exists, and I can't even find the fossils of it, which may suggest the existence of Bigfoot. We understand Bigfoot as a big primate. Then I think that the closest fossils that I have ever found are orangutan's fossils. So there might be a possibility that orangutans survived into historical period in Peninsular Malaysia and left their imprints in the memory of the local Orang Asli legends and oral traditions.
Did the Orang Asli really see Bigfoot, or was it merely orang-utan mixed with local stories and mythology? I just received a call from Paksate, whom I met earlier regarding his Bigfoot encounters. I requested for him to take my team and I to look for and hopefully to meet his version of what amounts to Bigfoot. It is unfortunate that Paksate has fallen ill mysteriously and cannot assist us. I find it difficult to accept as he was healthy and fit when I met him just recently. Did Paksate ultimately get permission from Orang Tua or Bigfoot for our meeting? Paksate's premature withdrawal from our research is rather disappointing. Should I still pursue further with this investigation? I have learned that while most people are open to the existence of ghosts and spirits that infest the forest, the moment I speak of Bigfoot, they are highly skeptical and do not believe that it is real. Why are we open to accepting and believing in ghosts more than the reality of Bigfoot? And through this line of thought, it has brought me to meet Charles Goh, the co-founder of Asia Paranormal Investigators Singapore, who conducted 2 Bigfoot expeditions in Johor, Malaysia in 2006. From this research and this expedition to Johor and things, what did you find out? And who were the people you interviewed?
Well, first we plot out the various locations where Bigfoot is found. We try to visit those locations. Around Johor area, Kahang area, we went to Tanjung Piang, where we found actually that there is a ridge, a mountain ridge, that connects all these states together, which means that a creature could actually travel along the top of the mountain and then visit other parts. It's possible. Second was we tried to look for the eyewitness based on the reports. Of course, we were looking for Amir, the fisherman who was catching frog when he saw Bigfoot. We were looking for Along, who saw Bigfoot rubbing, who was waken up by Bigfoot at night. We were trying to look for people who may have seen it as well. We went to look for a watchman who was handicapped, who was watching a control tower, and then he reported this Bigfoot creature and he got sacked on the job. Very credible people who said that they saw something. This is actually a cast of a Bigfoot print that was given to me as appreciation by Rick Knorr after our Bigfoot expedition to Endau.
We've seen a monkey without a tail. It's about 6 foot tall and it walks upright. I flew for 2 hours in a very small plane over forest with no roads. It was very, very remote, down towards the border with Brazil. And we landed with one of these little communities, and the interpreter, I said to him, could you ask the hunters? All I said was, have they seen a monkey without a tail? That's all I said, a monkey without a tail. So no talk of Bigfoot, nothing like that. And the answer eventually came back. 3 of the hunters said, yes, we've seen a monkey without a tail. It's about 6 foot tall and it walks upright.
And when they were relating their experience to you, is Bigfoot a creature or an animal, or is it a supernatural being that perhaps they are looking at it from a spiritual point of view?
When they describe, they got mixed up with what they learned maybe as a kid or from their own folklore, what they see with their eyes, and what the current world perceive. When I interviewed Amir, the fisherman who had a standoff with Bigfoot, in the beginning he was telling me Bigfoot is supposed to be this tall, and then on the second interview he was saying that no, people was telling me Bigfoot is supposed to be taller, it's supposed to be bigger and that kind of thing. So they get confused. Over time, more local established belief will overtake what they actually saw.
So do you think, therefore, the Orang Asli's account or experience is reliable?
I would say that the basic idea that they saw something is there.
Right.
But the end result of what they described to me could be a bit grey.
Saya ni lah, ni kira saya pergi berhutan lah. Lah, lebih sini lah, tengok kelapa apa pokok.
Tapi betul.
Boleh lah.
Boleh lah.
Based on what Charles Goh explained about witness statements, I wonder how we are able to ensure that our investigation is objective.
Basically, what for me is more of information gathering and then trying to map it out together with the rest of the sighting from other areas. And then trying to go into the historical aspect of it. How do typical Malaysian perceive of Bigfoot? Have they ever seen a gorilla? Do they know what is an orangutan? How does it look like?
Or the sun bear.
Or the sun bear, yes. I would say that Malaysia is big, is full of forests. Modern man is coming face to face with nature and they don't know what is it. This is actually a cast of a Bigfoot print that was given to me as appreciation by Rick Knorr after our Bigfoot expedition to Endau. So this is actually taken by a sheriff of the state of Washington in 1982.
Wow.
Yeah, when he went there to investigate report of Bigfoot. It's the same print and yet in a slightly variation to show that it has been is on the move. It's not like somebody take a piece of board with a print on it and just step on it.
But if you look at this print, what the orang aslis seem to have witnessed doesn't look very close to this. Dan?
In fact, in both sightings, they never describe the feet. They describe the height, they describe the face. He was always standing far away. Closest of Amir staring incident is 15 meters away. So 15 meters, they can't see the feet.
After talking to Charles Goh, who is an objective and passionate researcher, and understanding more about the characteristics of orang asli and their mindset, I have decided to meet again with the youngest son of Bapa Kais, Pak Achai in Johor. I would like to ask him to take us to meet the orang tua Jarang Gigi since his elder brother Pak Sateh has fallen ill.
From what I understand, Pak Achai, there is a relationship between your father, Bapak Kais, and what you call the orang tua Jarang Gigi that maybe some of us will relate to as Bigfoot.
Jadi Pak Kais ni kan sebagai
My father, Bapa Kais, is very close friends with Datuk Hulu Paya or Orang Tua Jarang Gigi. My father was a healer or a shaman of the village. When he sleeps, he dreams about Datuk Jarang Gigi and he even meets him in person. Datuk offers help, assistance and guidance to my father to do his healing work. When my father was ill, Datuk requested that we send him to a secret place where he would heal my father. It was a special place specified by him and nowhere else.
It's really quite intriguing that the father of Pak Achai has such a close relationship with this orang tua berjarang, Gigi. And the description that we understand sounds like what we commonly know as the Bigfoot.
I have asked if Pak Achai could take us to the sacred spot where Datuk Jarang Gigi or Bigfoot performed the healing rituals for his father. After much consideration, he finally agreed.
There are Native Americans who consider him to be a spiritual, supernatural being.
This is actually a cast of a Bigfoot print that was given to me as appreciation by Rick Knorr.
We've seen a monkey without a tail. It's about 6 foot tall and it walks upright.
Pak Achai is now leading me to the sacred and mysterious location selected by Datuk Jarang Gigi to heal Bapa Kais. It is a 30-minute hike into the forest using the trails of wild animals. After preparing the necessary items for Datuk Jarang Gigi, Pak Achai started to chant the invocations to call upon him and to inform him that we would like to meet and experience his presence amongst us.
Kejut bang jaga Datuk Kamat Pulau Makam Bunsuk Gerai Kuning. Hari ni kau nak kabar kaji. Lebih kurang kau sekat nak kau tahu dia kau cerita dengan dia. Saya kulah kabar pun kaji belah minta jangan nang ada. Ikut nang ada. Jangan dia kau cerita tu terang kau cerita minta yang kau nak berjumpa dengan Datuk Jarang Gigi. Hendak nak berjumpa. Ini tanah kami.
The cloth is symbolic of purity, that's why white. And by hanging it up, he's informing when he's calling for help of orang tua that they are sincere with their intentions for calling him for help.
Kau minta dengan ayah kau yang duduknya senang handik saya main kembang berai pun tak kau biang pun. Berjinjang turut, biar nampak jelas pun boleh bayang-bayang sudah. Pasang ini berhajat betul, nak ngingok, nak berjumpa.
More than 2 hours have passed and we received 0 signals from Datuk Jarang Gigi. But we continued waiting and hoping, and then something happened.
Pak Acai just told me that he had also heard a whistle sound from the right side. Very soft. It was underneath the sound of, I actually don't know what it would be, but those loud sounds you hear of nature and this. And the whistle sound was very similar to the sound that Pak Acai had said in the beginning of the ritual. And I heard the same whistle from this side, and I thought it was just me, but he heard the same too. So it's quite interesting.
Did Datuk Jarang Gigi or Bigfoot really make an appearance upon being summoned by Pak Acai? Was the sound that Pak Acai and I heard by Datuk Jarang Gigi? We have 2 witnesses, Rosie and Tina, who also heard a strange sound as we were entering the forest heading to the sacred spot.
Can you give an example what it sounded like?
It sounded like someone sighing, like It was a very harsh sound.
It sounded like a human voice, but not as clear as ours. It sounded only once. It was very loud, but it wasn't deep. It was like, ah! But it wasn't too. It was different. I can't imitate the sound. It didn't sound like a tiger. It was something that I have never heard before.
It was very dark and the narrow paths were filled with broken twigs, vines and aggressive insects. The most surprising thing was that Pak Acai got lost despite his long experience hiking in these forests. We walked in circles for a good 20 minutes. What happened that night? Maybe there was something mystical in the forest that confused Pak Acai, but was it Datuk Jarang Gigi or Bigfoot? I also noticed a rather peculiar fact about the herd of elephants who lived in this forest.
Walking around the forest, I just had a realization. I observed a lot of elephant feces. We all know how big elephants are and they move around with their family members, yet there is not much tremendous damage to the trees, which then makes me think it is also very possible how Bigfoot can actually move around a forest and not easily caught.
I have also spoken to an extraordinary Bigfoot enthusiast who is a Buddhist high monk, His Eminence Sem Rinpoche, who shared with me similar research recordings of authentic, unidentified sounds in the deep forest, footprints with dermal ridges, and Bigfoot from different cultures.
They have reported unusual sounds in the woods, in the forests. And these sounds are not identifiable to people who have intimate knowledge of the forest and animals. They give these recorded sounds to a professional lab. The sounds are not artificially generated, but they match no known human or animal vocalization.
What evidence have you come across that actually tells you, yes, Bigfoot is real, without a doubt?
What really made me go inside, wow, it is something that can be indirectly proven, was that of Bigfoot, when very learned primatologists study these footprints under a magnifying glass and they look carefully, there are dermal ridges. You see, primates have dermal ridges, humans have dermal ridges. And on humans, the dermal ridges are horizontal. But for Bigfoot casts, they are vertical. So therefore, when they found these casts and they discovered dermal ridges, it is impossible to think that these are something that has been faked by an expert.
Could Bigfoot be a supernatural being?
It depends on what culture you come from. If you come from the Tibetan culture, they don't consider him a supernatural being. They consider him to be within the animal species, although albeit a higher form of animal. But in the American Indian folklore, there are Native Americans who consider him to be a spiritual, supernatural being. I personally don't feel Bigfoot is something in a kind of a mystical being. I feel he's mysterious because we can't find him yet.
I will be honest. I was expecting more tangible results. However, what was more personally challenging was not giving up in my pursuit of understanding Bigfoot. I am thankful for His Eminence Sam Rinpoche for what he shared, as well as Charles Goh.
How do typical Malaysian perceive of Bigfoot? Modern man is coming face to face with nature and they don't know what is it.
If you come from the Tibetan culture, they consider him a higher form of animal. There are Native Americans who consider him to be a spiritual, supernatural being.
So I have come to conclude the existence of Bigfoot, whether you've seen it or not, connects us to something more than the ordinary, a mysterious dimension, or another mode of existence. What can I say but the simple fact that there is more to life?